Yo everyone, welcome back to another free-to-play Ultimate Iron Man progress video. I want to start off by giving a GZ to Nice Wario on matching his melees. Beast. Next I want to give a massive dual GZ to both free-to-play Beano and UI Pain on matching their accounts. Absolute legends. Free-to-play Beano is the third matched free-to-play hardcore, and UI Pain is the second matched UIM skiller. Congrats to you both, that's awesome. So in my last video, I mentioned that I was starting the 99 prayer grind, and for the last couple months, that is all I have been doing. I pretty much just went all in on this, been trying to do 3 sessions a day, every single day, trying to maximize the use of all the world hops that I had available to me, and just kind of going all in. Over this time, I had the chance to really deep dive into this method, learn all the ins and outs about continuous hopping and all the little time saves that you can do up here. And really, I just tried to push for the best possible hour. So if you've been in the Discords recently, you've probably seen me posting like once a week of, slowly getting the number a bit higher from 19k to 19.2k. And then after one of the saves that I figured out, getting upwards of 20k, and then the footage you're watching right now is of me doing the 21k pace. I couldn't quite get it on video. The best video I have is a 20.6k hour, or rather, the rate I was getting was 20.6k per hour. I think the actual hour was like 16 gained because you're only able to do this for about 15 minutes or so. But yeah, pretty much. It took a lot to maintain the pace that I wanted, which was 300k a week. That's about 50k per day, a little less, which 50k is about 3 hop limits with a little bit of time not hopping. So yeah, pretty much just went all in on this and was able to get a lot of XP over the last couple months. So as part of this last couple months, I had the opportunity to apply for and become a member of the Solus clan. So if anyone's not aware, Solus is one of the big, just general old school RuneScape skilling clans. They've been around for many years, definitely longer than I've been around for. And over the last couple months, I gotten more involved with them. I joined the Discord. I was a clan friend for a bit. And I really like the atmosphere, and a lot of the people I knew were also joining or had already joined just over the past couple of years. So I figured it'd be a fun thing to do. Luckily, Solus allows multi-clanning, which meant that I didn't have to leave any of the free-to-play clans. I don't have to be in their clan chat at all. And so this is kind of nice. It's nice to be involved with some of the higher level skillers that are in the community and get to hear about all their cool achievements and get to kind of follow along with them. Um, there's a lot of interesting characters in Solus for sure, but I think it was a good decision to join, and happy to be involved. Around this time, I also decided to officially apply to be a member of the free-to-play clan. So the free-to-play clan has always been kind of interesting because I had way back in the day had applied to the clan when I was very much just starting off. Obviously, I was way too much of a noob at the time to be let in, so they didn't end up letting me in. And that's actually the reason why I'm in World 385 today, is because free-to-play clan wouldn't let me in at such a low level, but 385 was just open to every single free-to-player that stumbles upon it. So after a while, decided to join again. So I thought, what the hell. And this was actually a good time to do so because this was actually at the start of the free-to-play week comp that was hosted back in May, called Into the Fray May. So this is a cool competition. This is actually the first competition that I signed up to be a team captain as opposed to just a player. If you'll recall from one of my last videos, they did a competition back in January that I played in for a bit. But yeah, I had the opportunity to lead the Gilenor gliders. So not everyone gets to see what goes into the drafting process for competitions. So because I got the captain this one, I figured I would kind of give a breakdown of how I decided to draft my team. So, we gotta remember that when you're in a draft competition, your goal is to get as many high EXP gaining players as you can. You're obviously competing to see who can get the most at possible. So you want the people who are going to be the heavy hitters. So because I wasn't reaching out to people directly for this draft, I was really going off of just the information that was available to me. And obviously that's the folks who signed up, the EHP week they claimed to want to do, as well as some other stats. Like I took their current week on each of their temple pages. I also looked at each of their personal bests and whether or not they had competed before. This was a bit interesting to try to find because there were several pay-to players who were signing up on their free-to-play accounts for this competition. So for those, I had to kind of do some digging to, for each of those individuals, like what was their main. For example, Amigo is Mr. Largy's account, and Mr. Largy is like a really big gamer. He does a lot of hours. There's some other folks in here too, like Emerald Yeti is Hodge's free-to-play account. And so pretty much for each of these, I kind of looked into the estimated week that I could think that they were going to do, and I also kind of took some notes here. So, keep in mind, if you're lower seeded than other people, I have nothing against you. This is literally just, how well I thought at the time that some of these folks could compete in the competition. So, well, the way I broke it down is I had my two top seeds. This was Freck and Emerald Yeti, who were Hodge. Pretty much, just from like the past competitions, at least that I've done with Freck, if Freckle Dad signs up for a week competition, he will do 100 ep. There is like no world in which he doesn't. There's been comps that he said that he's been busy with like 20 different things, and then he joins the week comp and he gets 100. It's the safest 100 you can ever pitch. So had him as my top seed. Emerald Yeti, I had them top seeded not only because they had claimed to do a 70, which was like also as with Freck like the highest number on here, but Hodge is also someone who like he's talked to me in Discord a lot. He's someone who's like really passionate about the game. He's asked a lot of questions, and this Emerald Yeti account, it's a level 3 skiller, so it was just going to be doing Earth runes and getting 1-to-1 doing that. So I figured, pretty simple method. Known gamer, could probably do a pretty big week. So that's why I had them my top seed. Then I had my kind of like second top category. This is like the known beasts, as I call it. Pretty much these are all people who I've either competed with before, or they're just people who I know and I trust that if they sign up for a competition, they're going to do some big hours. So like DJ had, and this was in the actual like row of this or whatever. This is in like no real particular order. So I had DJ, Boo, Helpless Bob, Orange Sea, Chaotical, Bald. Each of these people, they either had said they're going to do a big week and I trusted them to do that, or they had done some big weeks in the past, or they are just someone who I knew could play well in a comp. Like Helpless Bob, for example, I know like he's a bee, like been going crazy on the cooking XP and fishing XP. Boob, I know has competed in comps before, like last year's Soulless 10-year anniversary. Chaotical is coming off of a really big week that they did in the Terry competition at the end of last year. So I figured each of these people were going to be good for at least 50 plus. And then the category after that is like just general consistency of like upper consistent, lower consistent. So I figured these are going to be people who they might not go all out or like try to push it like big hours for the comp, but we're going to like do big hours regardless. Like, for example, Terra Throne or Automology is just always on like a 50 to 70 week, just because they're like AFKing all day and like fully utilizing their AFK time. So I figured that was going to be a good pickup. Pause was kind of an interesting one because normally, or like in the past, I wouldn't like say that Pause is an upper consistent, but you have to remember that Pause did go nuclear for the free to play comp back in January. They did like a 130 week, which was like really insane. I think it's still like the rank 3 free to play HP week. So I figured, like they were on a pretty low week. Like I think at the time, yeah, they were only on a 6 week, and they only signed up for a 30. But I figured, they're just like good. Like they've been around forever. Figured it'd be a good pickup. And then Amigo or Mr. Largy, this is someone who like they were gonna be online and playing on their pay to play account all week, and they usually do like really big weeks on their pay to play Iron Man. So I figured like even if they just had like U trees going in the background, that they were still gonna be able to put in some like decent hours. So then on like the other part of the consistency, like the lower consistent people, these are all the people who I either like knew them and knew that they were going to be putting in not the biggest hours, but still consistent, or there are folks that like they signed up for big numbers and I didn't really know too much about them. Like a couple of the Phoenix gamers, like Ricky Horizon and Vlad UIM, were in this category. Nerf Redwoods, I believe Nerf Redwoods was Unreal's free to play account. They signed up for. I hadn't played with them too much. They were on a pretty low week on that account. But they did do some pretty big hours for the Terry competition last year, and while I know Unreal much more now than I did when I drafted for this competition, just because I've had more of a chance to talk to them. That's why I had them here. Woohoo is an interesting one. He was like an Ets pay to player, or sorry, Ets free to player, went pay to play, and then made another free to play to sign up for this competition. So they were sort of in the wild card territory, but I figure since they signed up for a 40, that they could at least do that. And then there was the dark horses. And so this wasn't necessarily because like I had no faith in them. This was just because like I didn't really know what I was going to be getting into if I picked any of these folks. And so I didn't want to like put too much stake into what they were claiming. Like Tim Uden, for example. Tim Uden signed up for a 60, which is like much bigger than most other people signed up for. But they like weren't logged in at all that week. They were on a 0 week. Like nobody just knew anything about them. It was like a brand new account, like really low EHP. I didn't even know if they were like a pay to player coming to free to play or just like some random who signed up. Laughter, I think, was another Phoenix gamer. Free to play less, didn't know too much about them. People that like, they were still signing up for 30 weeks at least, so I figured they would still get some gains in. And then Horsehang is like a funny example because they signed up for a very small week, but they signed up in a really funny way. It's just like this is someone who didn't really know anything about EHP. They just signed up and said like I want to do 1 million prayer XP. And this is like in the sign up sheet when everyone's just putting like a number for EHP. They just say like 1 million prayer. And I thought that they were an Ironman at first. I'm like, wait, that's like an insane week. And then I realized that they were a red, and that was going to be like 10 EHP, not even. So, they ended up being the last in like my ranking for that reason. But as we'll see in a second, it was still like a really good pickup, and I was able to get them on my team. So getting into the actual results of the competition, I do want to congratulate the Gilenor Gliders. We did end up securing the victory. Great job, everyone. Awesome comp. So kind of breaking down how things went. The Temple page is scuffed for two reasons. First of all, because I think like Laughter, I think like he was playing on a Reddit account, which I think went pay to play and name changed on, and then he started like a new hardcore. For some reason, that's showing up as like he got like a shit ton of crafting XP on a hardcore account and not the Reddit account he played. But second of all, because it's sort of a new policy now within Temple that only badged competitions allow you to set custom scaling for each player who signs up. So normally in a competition, you're either training the like efficient method and getting the rates on Temple, or you're training in a way in which it's not going to give exactly 1-to-1 EHP. So myself, for example, if I was training prayer efficiently, I would be constantly going up to the boneyard, doing one hop limit, and then going back to do some other skill. But because I was just training prayer, I was going to be scaled to a lower rate. But unfortunately, that didn't show up here on the temple page. So that's why it's showing a much lower number than what it should be, and that's the same for a bunch of different people. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, here were the picks for the Gilenor gliders that I made. I got really lucky in that I got the first pick, so I got to get Freckled Dad, one of my high seeds. I also got to pick up a bunch of other high-seeded players like Helpless Bob and I have Boob. And then everyone else did about as well as I thought they would. Odd Melody, as I was saying, he just always does a 60 to 70 week, and he did the 65 right in the middle there. Orange C popped off. I wasn't expecting Orange C to play this much, but definitely some big numbers from him. Baldwin also really solid 56 week, a bit more than I was expecting out of them. Pause, I didn't quite get the performance I was hoping for. I was hoping that with the in his like more recent like rambling video or project video, he talked about wanting to push for 200 mil, and he talked about like burning out from 04 Escape and wanting to play SRS more, but that didn't quite come to fruition. And then our goat, he shows up on the bottom of this, but that's not totally accurate because he just sort of aura bombed the whole comp. He like just came out of the gate swinging, like wanting to get some big prayer XP drops, and it was fun watching along and seeing him progress. But yeah, he got a decent amount of prayer XP. He was also able to do some other skills too. He did some crafting, had some defense in there as well. But anyway, so also, congrats to everyone on the Berry Movement team. If you're wondering why it's called that, just don't ask. I don't want to talk about it. But yeah, they had some gamers. Halcyon Seed was the Berry Movement captain. This captain, she played some really big hours. They also had a bunch of other. They had she had all of the like pay to play alts on her team, which I thought was sort of a risk because a lot of those people like they're not committed to the free to play game mode. They're not committed to these like accounts. Whereas I secured like pretty much everyone I secured was a free to play main account. Like this was their account that they were pushing. So I was really happy to pick up everyone that I got. But yeah, the Berry Movement they still did pretty well. A lot of good hours on their team. And if you want to see the actual accurate rates, Halcyon did put together what it would look like if everyone's like scaling was accurate. It's not ranked in order from like biggest to lowest, but yeah, multiple big achievements. Halcyon and Helpless Bob, 100 plus weeks for a free to play comp, massive. Freckled Dad didn't quite get there. He was busy for like 2 days in a row, but still got like a 97. Just casually, that's just what he does. But yeah, a lot of big numbers. If you go back to what people said that they were going to do, it was a lot of 30, 40, 50. And in the actual comp, it was a lot of 40, 50, 60, even 70 in a lot of cases. So again, big congrats to everyone who's able to put up some big numbers. It was a really fun comp, and I hope that there gets to be more competitions in the future. But actually, I'll add one thing as well. Folks like Temujin, like I call them dark horses because even though they signed up for a 60, that does not mean they're gonna play a 60. Sometimes they're just someone who has no idea what a comp is and they just don't play at all. So yeah, just always something to watch out for. So before jumping into the competition I did after this, there were a few things that I wanted to kind of quickly touch on in regards to free to play and the World 385 clan that I'm in. So for 385, I recently got the co-ownership rank. So this is because over the past couple of years, several of the high-level people in the World 385 clan had either been quitting the game or just like burning out in general. A lot of the folks with the silver key rank don't even play anymore, and they haven't logged in for a couple of years now. Tanadino, who has been the owner of the clan forever, they also have been stepping away, focusing more on the Lost City project that they've been working really hard on, and playing Old School RuneScape a lot less. So because of that, I passed to Tanadino to give me the co-owner rank, the silver key, just so that there's another admin who is active not only in the clan chat but also in the Discord as well as the Reddit page that we have. So I'm gonna try to do my best to help co-own the clan. Maybe try to get some more events going. We haven't had a competition in a long time. There's a couple of just like little administrative things that need to be done, like every now and then the clan needs to get purged, just as there's a bunch of people who like join as a cabbage rank and play for a week and then quit. So we just gotta scrub that through. So I'll probably gonna be doing that sometime in the next couple days. Keep a lookout for that. There's also been some talk about potentially a new ranking system, keeping the current EHP based ranking system, but potentially reworking some of the numbers. Just because there's a lot of players now who are getting the Silver Star rank, and you get a lot of perms at Silver Star, like the ability to like kick people and like invite people to the clan and stuff. So we might be taking a look at that, just because there's so many people who have it now. We might buff up the requirements a bit more, but we'll see. And if anything does get announced, I'll make sure that something's said in the Discord. The next thing I want to talk about is the free-to-play wiki and what's sort of been going on with that. So free-to-play wiki has been around for years and years. For the longest time, it was our main like free-to-play EHP site, way before sites like Temple got free-to-play rates added to them. So free-to-play wiki was started by someone named Unki, and a couple of years ago, ownership got traded to a guy named Say Free-to-Play Alt, who is the current owner. And so they've been running the site for a long time, but over the years, they are not really playing the game as much as they were back in the day. And he mentioned a couple of weeks ago that he was thinking about stepping down as wiki manager. So a lot of us, really love the free-to-play wiki site, and we don't want to see it go anywhere. So Halcyon Seed and I, we had both expressed interest in, taking ownership of the site and keeping it up and managing it. This is kind of a developing thing. I don't know where this is going to go, but the idea is that like we want the wiki to always at least like be up and in operation. The wiki hasn't been updated in a long time, and also the EHP rates are wildly different from Temple. This is because just like the way that the site is written, I guess it can't really do the like bonus XP calculations the way that Temple can. And so if we do want to ever get accurate rates on there, it's going to need a bit of an overhaul to like rewrite that system. I just saw the site also hasn't been updated recently because there's like some issue with one of the services that the site uses like has to be updated, and that's going to require like I guess some like big update change. I don't know the details of it all, but yeah, so that's the reason why like the site's been a little stale for a while. But obviously I want to see the site thrive. It's such a cool thing because it's not just an EHP tracking site. It's more than that. It has all the guides. It has links to a bunch of like YouTubers and streamers. It has the little announcement board, and there's like, a lot of cool functionality with like ways that you can measure people's like ranks and either like skills or EHP or boss KC all from one thing. It's a better site in my mind than Temple is, even though Temple has the accurate rates. And I mean, Temple's good for some stuff, but I think the wiki has like, a really special place in the free to play community. So I always want to make sure it exists in some form or another. So yeah, more to come on that. So then a couple weeks after the free to play comp was the big competition that I signed up for this summer, and that is the Solus Summer Comp. So in my mind, there are two big week-long competitions that happen in the RuneScape scaling community. There's the Terry competition that happens at the end of the year, and then there's whatever Solus week-long competition happens right around June. So last year it was the Solus 10-year anniversary, and this year it was just the Solus Summer 2025 competition. So these are the competitions, like the really big hours, the really, everyone going for records and everyone just like playing their absolute heart out. So I'll give a kind of brief overview into how the comp went. So there were three teams: the Fish, the Harbor Hit Squad, and the Bootleggers. I don't really care about the other two teams. So the only team that matters was the Fish, and that is because we were a winning team this year. So got this cool little graphic that Glad's made of everyone who was on the team. So Glad's himself was the captain. This is actually an interesting competition because the captains didn't play in this competition. They were just the folks who ran the draft and managed the teams. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, a lot of heavy hitters on this team. I'm actually very surprised that we were able to get away with such a stacked team right out of the draft. Um, Yeah, so kind of getting into some of these boats. Darts was like that was the big pitch. Everybody knew that he was going to do a really big week. Then there was also people who were known for doing big weeks, like you have Mage, for example. That's Mr. Largeet's account. You have Halcyon Seed, big free to player. A couple other folks in here. Cheery was we knew was going to be doing a really big woodcutting week, or at least trying to. You also had a couple other big gamers like Hodge and DJ9. Lane, who's someone I didn't really know too well before this, also went hard. Marnie, low random. Uh, yeah, and then myself included, all the important folks on the team. So yeah, this was a really fun competition. Huge hours. So these really big competitions, these are the sleep deprived comps. So kind of getting into everybody who was on the fish. A lot of really big gains. He with the 150 week. I mean, he was just doing ZMI, but even still, like, you think about a week. That's 7 days. There's 24 hours in a day. Um, but if you sleep 8 hours a night, which all the doctors say you should do, then add that on to the 6 hour at the start of the comp. That's only 118 hours. So if you do more than 118 EHP, that means that you're sleep depriving. But of course, that assumes 16 up a day, which people aren't getting. So really, everyone who does over 100 is going to be doing some form of sleep deprivation, myself included for this, even though I didn't quite have the big numbers that some of these other folks did. But yeah, Halcyon Seed, big. Darts, who played on his Helm account, also really big week. Cheery went nuclear with the woodcutting. I didn't know who Lane was before this, but they popped off. They beat me, did a 130. I was where I expected to be, right around the middle of the patch. I'm not nearly as good at sleep deprivation as some of the other folks are, but I was able to hold my own. I didn't do as much as I did during the Terry, but part of that I think is because I didn't scale myself to like as low of a rate as I probably should have, and I also was able to get 99 RC or sorry 99 prayer during this comp, which I'll talk about in a bit. And so I was a little less motivated after that. But otherwise, everyone else on the team, besides Faye Poppy, really good numbers. Buff Boobies, just the absolute mascot of the team. Um, you know, signed up like this is like an anime protagonist story. Like this dude goes to apply for the Solus clan, doesn't get let in. Um, partially because he's a group Iron Man, but whatever. And he has this like okay, like what do I have to do to get let in? And I think like lads or like someone like kind of jokingly says like, oh, like you're signing up for this competition, do like the ranked 3 week for cooking or whatever skill you're doing. And this guy, he doesn't just get the ranked 3 cooking week for Iron Man. He just the game ranked 3 cooking, like insane, like one tick quums the whole time. And that all every day in the comps, or sorry, our teams like Discord, like super positive dude, like very upbeat, like ready to game every day. Just absolute MVP of the team, buff boobies all the way. But yeah, so getting the other teams, the Harbor Hit Squad, also a lot of good players. Necro is the rank 1, unlucky competition player. Just never seems to win these things, but still big hours. A lot of people I know on this team, Unreal, Fretch, Tartface, um, just a lot of gamers in general. And then the bootleggers had Azula, which Azula just, like, her and Ty Lee going nuclear in Sepulcher while May and Zuko were typing in Discord, all that throughout the week. Just really big gamer. This was like the rank 1 agility week for the whole game. So very cool to see. And then a lot of other cool people I know, Helpless Bob, big week in fishing cooking. One of the biggest free to play Ironman weeks by far. So really cool to see there. And then if you want to look at the actual, this is just the general top 10 folks in the comp. A lot of big hours. Several people doing over 100. Which like in my mind, over 140 is like the crazy range. I mean, over 150 is insanity, but like anything over even 130, honestly, is like that's like really big hours. Like you have to be sleep depriving. You have to be getting 1-1 while you're like very tired. I'm a little lower. I was able to be in the top. It was like 36, so I was able to be in the top half, which is like the top 18, I think, which is cool. I beat Freckled Dad, which I kind of don't even count because, again, Freckled Dad was busy during this comp. But again, the most guaranteed 100 you'll ever see in any player is going to be Freckled Dad. It was actually crazy, like watching him. Because like by the time he logged into the competition, I think I was like 20 up ahead of him, and he almost caught me at the end there. But yeah, definitely like huge congrats to all the records that were set. Cheery's woodcutting week absolutely massive. Um, I know Halcyon had a really big melee week. Yeah, just like ton of gains. Filmmaker with um, the fishing 6-hour record that he took from Enjoys, that was insane. Like at the very start of the comp. Um, that is kind of cool. Like 3 free players close together right here. But yeah, just awesome job, everyone. It was super fun to be involved in the comp, and even go to my page. Just get to see the little badge that we received for this competition, the little wave. I don't know if I'm going to keep that or not. I really liked the look before when it was just the UIM icon smoking the free to play. So we'll see about that. Also, this is kind of what I mean about the whole scaling thing as I was talking about earlier. So yeah, so I just really just getting into my own performance in general. So it was a 1.2 mil each. Really, like I kind of just went like balls to the wall on this. At least like as much as I could. I was also working throughout the week. I didn't have to go into the office, but I did have to drop the prayers on time so that I could answer some work related calls and messages and problems and all that. So yeah, this whole time, I started off like right before I had like just gotten 98, and yeah, it was a great push to get to 99. I can look at the actual fantasy app to show the number. So yeah, this is that scaled rate I was talking about. I was scaled to 10.9k, which is like 20k an hour prayer for 15 minutes, and then 4 hours of doing the no hop method, which I had myself scaled really like to a high rate. I should have added like a factor of like only 95% of the rate, which is like the standard most people use. That would have gotten me a bit more. I think I would have been like 118 ep instead of 111. But I still thought it was, good comp, whatever. I wasn't too worried about it. And here's the clip of me actually getting 99 prayer at the Lumbridge pub where I usually do these. It's funny. This is another one of those skills that like I got it during the competition, so couldn't take much time to relax. Yeah, I pretty much had to get right back into it. But yeah, thanks for everyone who came. And don't worry, there will be a much well in advance announced party for when I eventually get 99 rune crafting. So it won't be for a while, but stay tuned. So getting to the records, part of the reason why I wanted to sign up for this competition is because I just wanted to finish prayer and do the last like 1 mil XP I needed to do. But through that, I wanted to get as many records as possible for prayer. So take a look at the records page here. Start off with the 6-hour. I had done a 6-hour of the no hop method where I just walked around World 301 and Berry Bones, but this comp I was able to improve on that, and so I was able to get the 3rd ranking for all free to play Ironman. It would have been the rank 1 for UIMs, but like just a few days before, Agnes Day used up all the noted big bones that he got from his Obor grind, so he was able to like get a really big record there. The free to play records in general aren't competitive, so no one's really gonna make us think about this record being on here. If this was like pay to play, it would get deleted. Same with Fiery Sakura's record. I think this was also banked. So technically unbanked, I have the rank 1 record, but it's not. It's a bunch of record, so it's just whatever. Getting into the day record, the first 30 hours, yeah, really the first 24 hours with the intro 6. I got the rank 2. Revilical, this is a banked record. He had a bunch of like banked big bones. But he did some boneyard during this, so I'm not too mad about him having the rank 1. But yeah, 260k, improved on my previous day record. I think I slept 3 hours of this, so it's about like 27 hours worth boneyard. So that was really cool to see. Then you get into the 72 hour. This is actually a new record category that was added to Temple not super long ago. So, I mean, all of like free to play records, no one's really going for these. But I was able to get the rank 1 here. Really cool to see. I was like I wasn't able to take Revilical 72 during the free to play comp, so I was glad to take this back. This was 3 days, so I think this was 3 sleeps, probably like 10 hours of sleeping in total. So decent amount of hours that came from there. Then jumping into the actual week, this is the big one that I wanted to go for. So in the free to play comp, I had like just barely beaten Revilical. I got like a 780k week. That's because like I had to go into the office that week, and that like ending weekend of that comp, I had to fly to Baltimore. So it was really like 5 days worth of gaming and like no sleep depth. And so this week, like went all in on it. I only needed about a mil to get the 99, but I hit that on like day 6, and so I still had plenty of time to go. So finished the week out as best I could. I wanted the 1.25 mil, but wasn't quite able to make it. But no worries. Yeah, still a really cool week. Really proud of it. I don't think this is going to be beaten anytime in the near future. But yeah, still very happy to have gotten that. This got me the rank 3 month. I like these are actually like 2 really good month records by Man Bronze and Cold Fingers. I could I if I had kept going, I probably could have caught up to these 2. But this is just like these are the kind of records you get into the month stuff of like the people who just play all day every day. Um, I'm just like I can't play that consistently, so I'm happy with my rank 3. And then because I'm finished training prayer now, here my rank 10. Yeah, all the prayer year records for Iron Man are just like who has who has that much prey XP remaining to go on their way to maxing. So I had a bit more than Tanadino, but I had a bit less than Jambo. Yeah, pretty much all these people were like folks who just were finishing up the skill. 5N's the exception. He's been going nuclear at the Hill Giants recently, which is why he's on like almost like 20 mil. But yeah, that's the records. So for the rest of the vid, I want to just kind of touch on what the future is going to look like, as well as a couple IRL topics, just because I don't get to talk about those too much in these videos. So first things first, now that prayer's done, I'm going for 99 rune crafting. You know, maxing has been my goal for kind of this whole time, and it's now just one skill left, so I'm going to dive headfirst into it. So there's 2 ways to train the runecrafting skill for Ultimate Iron Man. There's the body runecrafting route, which is you kill either minotaurs or flesh crawlers or catablabons for supplies. Notably the skull scepter teleports, and then you train with body runes. Or there's the earth runecrafting route where you just mine essence and make earth runes and repeat that process. There's nothing you need going into it. So positives and negatives to both these methods. I'm going with body rune crafting because it's going to be about 1,300 hours to 99, as opposed to only 1,250 hours if I went with earth runes. But for those like 50 additional hours, I'm going to be getting a lot of not only ranged SP, but I'm going to be getting more runecrafting SP per hour when I actually train it. And this is kind of cool because like it's essentially I'm going to be splitting up runecrafting into 3 separate segments. So it's going to be, a bit of a breakup of the monotony. It's going to start off with about 480 hours of Minotaurs. The kind of number you have to think about here is it's about 0.45 from crafting XP for one combat XP. This means that for the 6 mil or so the 6 mil rune crafting XP I need still, it's about 16 mil range XP I'm going to be need to get. Now this should be any combat skill. I could have done melee minotaurs, but I really liked training ranged. Not only because it's like an easier method to do at minotaur, but also because I want to save as much melee XP as I can for either like hill giants or flesh crawler, like AFK methods in the future. So if I'm gonna be like actively training a skill, I want to use ranged for now. But anyway, so after a long while of doing Minotaurs, I'm going to have about 240 so hours of doing the body runecrafting method with the noted essence, the like really high runecrafting XP rate. Ideally, there's going to be like a competition during that week, and I get to go nuclear with it. But regardless, I'm going to try to just do as much as I can. And then that's going to leave me at the end with 600 hours of normal body runecrafting. And that's going to be like the AFK, rune pickaxe, hang out, and just like mine essence and make body runes all day. So that's kind of the split up for right now. But yeah, to answer like the question that some people had, it would technically be less time to 99 if I just were to be doing earth runes. But this body rune method is gonna be able to break the monotony with the 3 segments, but it's also gonna work towards the kind of secondary goal and sort of the next goal I'm gonna have after maxing, and that's gonna be 1 billion XP. So kind of getting onto that. So obviously, like because maxing is something that is pretty guaranteed to happen as long as I just stick with it for these next couple months. I'm gonna need to have a plan for what to do afterwards, or else I'm gonna burn as soon as I max. So the overarching goal I've had in mind is going to be 1 bill XP, and the way I'm going to achieve this is I'm going to be focusing on the faster skills. So this is going to be like your fishing, cooking, your woodcut fire mage, and then like some of the like higher XP combat methods like hill giants or whatever, or potentially doing some like AFK flesh crawlers. But yeah, so because like if I was going to be doing the earth rune crafting, I would really just be getting the rune crafting XP and the mining XP. Whereas doing minotaurs, I'm also going to be getting a lot of range XP, hit point HP, and that's going to be on top of all the the actual rune crafting and mining XP I'll be getting. So I think it's a good trade-off, and I think it's going to be a good way to secure 99 RC, even if it takes me a while. And so speaking of that kind of timeline, so it's about 1,300 hours. So right now I'm on a 1,300 EHP year pace, but that was assuming, or rather, that number was pulling from the past couple months of prayer in which I was not getting 1-to-1, and it also pulls from all the time I spent doing smithing, which I was getting under 1-to-1 during that. So realistically, I'm probably on like at least a 1,500 year pace, maybe more. And because I'm going to be motivated to finish rune crafting, I'm going to be going kind of all in on it. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm thinking like the dream scenario of like I have nothing else to do but play RuneScape all day is getting it by the end of this year, this calendar year. I don't think that's very likely. I think it's more likely I'll finish around February or maybe March of next year, so about like 9 months from now. But yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be something that takes a while, and I'm just gonna be going for it. So, getting kind of away from the RuneScape side of things, I do want to touch a bit on the IRL situation, just as a few people had been asking. So, pretty much, last time I talked about IRL very much, I had moved down to Houston. I've been living here for a couple years now, working the same job that I got when I first moved down. And this job has been really good for RuneScape because it was like a very much like remote work friendly. I was able to get a lot done outside of the office for work, which, because I'm at my PC all day means that I was going to be playing a lot of RuneScape. So that was really helpful, but I think there is like a point now I'm coming to where I'm starting to recognize that like eventually I am going to have to move up in my career a bit. Uh, and like kind of through that, not just moving my career, but also just like potentially like moving location. I've enjoyed my time in Houston. I've made like my time of it pretty well, but it's not the kind of place that I want to spend the rest of my life in, uh, or even like spend the rest of my 20s in. So at the end of last year, I had sort of like made the decision that I was ready to like job search and move on, but with like the last like three or four skills coming up, and like this big prayer grind I've been doing the last couple months, I sort of put the job search off just because like when I was training prayer, when you're doing 3 hop limits a day and like you're constantly like focused on that schedule of like playing around those hours, it's just like I don't know, I got very lazy. Like I kind of slacked off on like some work stuff, I slacked off on some other things. And now that that grind's over with, and now that like the like beautiful Houston winter and springtime has ended and the summer heat has arrived, it's definitely got me kind of reevaluating how I want to go forward with it all. So we'll see how that ends up. I think like now, like especially now that this comp's over with, like I'm very much in like a like transition state where I'm kind of like open to do whatever I want. So I think I might get back on the job search. Potentially try to move back north. I don't know. I grew up in the north. It's what I know. I also grew up in a place that has a lot of like outdoorsiness and like wildlife and hiking, and kind of getting to like the next part of like this IRL stuff is like over the past couple weeks I've been really been trying to get back into hiking like I used to do back in the day, and kind of like even take it further than before. So I grew up near the Adirondack Mountains in New York. I spent a lot of my kind of like college age being up in those mountains. I also went to college like in the Appalachian Mountains, so I had that around me. And moving to Houston was a bit of a shock because Houston's in like the middle of this like great floodplain. There's really no elevation around. I mean, there's some hiking to do around here, and like I've done hiking down like along the coast. I've gone up into some of the national forests around here. But all the cool hiking to do is like multiple hour drives away. Like I drove out 5 hours to do a lot of hiking in the Texas Hill Country. I drove 7 hours up to Arkansas. I recently did a 3-day backpacking trip in Arkansas. This is a really cool hike called the Eagle Rock Loop. Then like going out to some of the national parks, like Big Bend National Park, I recently went to. That's like a 10-hour drive across the state, and a lot of the other really cool hikes, in Texas at least, are like that kind of similar distance. Or like if I wanted to go back up to Arkansas to like the Ozarks, that's like 10 hours away. Like it's not something where like it's anywhere close by. And like I want to live in a place that has like easier access to that kind of stuff. Because don't get me wrong, like the Houston area has some like natural beauty. There's a lot of cool stuff with like the bayous and the swamps and the coastline, but it's not the kind of outdoorsiness that I want necessarily. So that's got me thinking a lot too about potentially getting out of here and like moving to places that have these things that are like important to me. Even if a new job were to mean like potentially less time to play RuneScape throughout the day. But like I think that at a certain point, like RuneScape is cool, but there's other things to do, at least like in my life, that I want to accomplish. So yeah, that's like the little IRL rant. Otherwise, yeah, not too much else is going on with me. Just been big chilling for the most part. Still single. Still no pets or anything. I have a couple of like little house plants, but even those I don't take good care of as much as I should. I've thought about getting a dog for a while. I'm from like a dog family, so like I've had dogs in my house like since I was like a toddler. And when I was in college, I got to spend a year living with this old wiener dog called Hank. and that kind of opened up the idea to me of like, just like I'd grown up with big dogs like golden retrievers and golden doodles, things like that. Like dogs that like you kind of like you want a yard, you want like space for them to run around. Um, but living with this wiener dog kind of opened my mind up to the idea of living with a smaller dog, like one that doesn't need like a whole yard to itself, one that's happy with like just like a bit of space to run around in and like going to the park occasionally. So it's something that like I'm gonna get probably a dog at some point. I just don't know when. Um, like that's kind of another thing too. Like maybe I wouldn't necessarily want to get a dog in a place like Houston, where like during the summer it's just like too hot to even go outside. Um, I'd rather live in a place where it's too cold and I need to bundle up than a place where if I go outside I'm just like a swamp monster. So that's another thing in my mind. Some people have like talked about being like cat people or whatever. Um, I'm allergic to cats, but I know that's not an excuse because my older brother is also allergic to cats, and he recently got a cat, and like he took this like I think it's like some spray that he had. He was able to like spray all the furniture around his like apartment or whatever, and or his house, and I guess that was able to like neutralize the cat dander or like whatever like causes the allergy. So I know that's not an excuse, but I don't know. I'm just like I'm a dog person. Like I've never owned any other animals. Well, actually, that's not true. I owned we had hermit crabs when we were kids. The pet store in my local mall had like these like hermit crabs, and we would get some and like have them in a little tank that we kept like. It's so my older brother and I we like shared a bathroom. We kept the tank in there, and that's kind of like a fun animal. Cute little like things that just kind of like crawl around. We like we had them for a while, so what we had to do is we would buy like like empty shells because like hermit crabs like as they grow up they'll like go to like a different shell. Um, so like they would start off in one, and then if you leave a bunch of shells in their like enclosure, they'll like investigate them, and then eventually they'll like transfer over and take over a new one. So I got to see that process a few times. That was really cool. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would own a crab like that again. I mean, just like any like little thing that like has like a terrarium or like an aquarium or whatever. I don't know if I really would find that interesting. But I don't know. Like the whole thing with an animal in general is that like sure it'd be fun to have, but it's also just like such a sacrifice when it comes to like having to take responsibility for those things. Like right now, I'm living a life that I have no responsibilities. My family is like doing very fine. Like they can like very well manage on their own. I have like no significant other I have to worry about. I have no pet that depends on me. Like the houseplants I was mentioning earlier, like very like that's like the one responsibility I have, and even then, if I decide to like go on vacation for a week, I'm more than happy to just like let the plants like perish or like lose some leaves or whatever. I don't care. And so I don't know. Like it's been nice to live life like that because it means that if I want to travel or if I want to know life and play RuneScape for a week, that it's really just like work that I need to worry about. But I don't know if that's how I want to live my life for like the rest of it. So we'll see. Maybe I'll figure something out in the future and I'll switch the style up. But for right now, again, like maxing RuneScape is like one of my biggest goals. It's not my highest priority in life, but it's definitely up there. It's funny. Automelogy had a ramble recently that he talked about the priorities in his life and like how RuneScape like maybe it's not like the highest priority, but it's definitely up there. And it is weird like when like when something in your life is very important, but it's not something you communicate with the people around you in real life. Like I don't know, like it really got me thinking because like almost no one IRL knows I play RuneScape. The cousin who he got me into RuneScape or got me back into old school at least, he knows. But like my parents have no clue I play this game. My siblings, even like my brother who plays video games, like he has no idea I play RuneScape. And like even the people who I have told, like Autumn, you said it best. Like I downplay very much. Like even like my cousin, like he doesn't know exactly how much RuneScape I play. He's not like the most like familiar with the HP, so like I don't know, like he's like just like very much so like an Iron Man PVMer. I mean he's matched, which is cool, but I don't know. Like the idea of like a skilling competition to him is crazy. Like I had mentioned a few weeks ago that I joined Solus, and he's like, "Wait, like Solus, like the like skilling clan?" And he was like all excited about that, which is cool. So yeah, I don't know. It's like it's strange to like have someone be like such a big part of your life, but I was also like kind of like secretive. I don't know. Like work, for example. Like I like no way in the world would I ever tell my coworkers that I play this game. Um, partially because like I mean just like honestly like if they don't know anything about RuneScape, that would honestly be like preferred. So I think the worst case scenario is like some like now like my job finds out I play RuneScape and also plays RuneScape, at least in a way in which like they understand how much I'm playing and they know like how much I'm playing like during work. So yeah, that's like the nightmare. Hopefully that never happens. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I got nothing else really to ramble about. Um, life's good for the most part, even though there's some changes coming up. RuneScape's good. Happy to get 99, and yeah, I think next videos will probably be maybe at the end of the Minotaur grind, like 480 hours. That's like 2 months, I think, for me. Maybe a bit more, like 3 months, which is like on pace for when I put these videos out. So yeah, that'll probably be the next one. So expect that in a few months, maybe at the end of the summer. And thanks for watching. Catch me on stream, and talk to y'all later.